Other breakdown later in the program. Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Thanks for watching. A worker at a retirement home in Windsor who had COVID-19 has died. Former colleagues are remembering her as a tireless advocate who lived to serve and bring comfort to others. CBC's Dan Takema has more.
Judy Hawkins is being remembered as a person who embodied the sun, warm, steadfast, and always present. Those are the words of Tigrina Domi, General Manager of Shoreview at Riverside, a retirement residence in Windsor. An obituary for Hawkins says she died on Monday following a hard-fought battle with COVID-19. She was 64. It goes on to say Hawkins worked as an activity assistant at the home and loved helping residents on the 4th floor. Domi shared a statement describing Hawkins as a kind soul and a person who brought comfort and joy to those she worked with. Posting online, "This is a great loss that brings forth unbearable pain, but the very existence of it speaks to Judy's ability to touch everybody's life she came into contact with." Hawkins is the second worker at a Windsor care home to die after being infected with COVID. A PSW named Sheila Yakovashin died on New Year's Eve. Health officials say homes in the area have been complying with measures to stop the spread of the virus, but hearing about a second death was difficult.
It is. It's hard to see all these deaths, and in the worker, this morning when I found out, it's difficult to see that the deaths continue in our community. It is unfortunate, and it's very sad.
There have been 348 COVID-19 related deaths in Windsor, Essex since the pandemic began. Second doses of the vaccine are being distributed at homes across the city, and health officials hope those measures will protect workers and staff. Dan Takema, CBC News, Windsor.
In addition to Hawkins, 2 other people have died of COVID-19 in our community as well. A woman in a long-term care or retirement home and a man living in the community. Both were in their 80s. As for our daily cases of COVID-19, just 26 reported today. And for the first time since the end of November, we have fewer than 300 active cases in the region. And we also want to tell you that just an hour ago, the Catholic Board confirmed that they have dismissed a class at St. John the Baptist Elementary School in Bell River. That's after a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. It is the first school in the region to do this since in-person classes returned on Monday. The school remains open. The federal government has been promoting the COVID Alert app as a key tool in the fight against the virus for months now. But one question has largely gone unanswered. How well does the app work? Well, now there's a plan to collect data that should help provide some insight. Thomas Dagla has more on that.
Over the next couple of weeks, COVID Alert app users will start receiving notifications like this one, telling them that their app will soon be sending more data to a central server. The goal here is for the app's developers to determine the effectiveness of the COVID Alert app. Remember, it was designed to tell users if they've been in close contact with another user who later tested positive. But because of privacy features, it's been impossible to tell, for instance, how many of those COVID exposure notifications have been sent out. So now the app is going to gather a package of additional information every day and send it to this central server. Information such as which province or territory is the app being used, and whether the user has received one of those exposure notifications.
We really encourage people to download the app, and it will be one additional measure if people are exposed.
The Office of the Privacy Commissioner has been looking at this additional data gathering operation, and here's what they told me in a statement. We were consulted on this initiative and we're satisfied the safeguards in place will continue to provide sufficient protections for the data in question. We agree Health Canada has put in place strong privacy measures to limit the risk of re-identification. The app's developers say that all the data that's going to be sent to the central server is going to be anonymous. It's going to be separate from the IP address, and the government is still not going to be able to tell your name or your location based on your use of this app. Keep in mind, it has been downloaded more than 6 million times, and now we might be able to answer the question, how many Canadians actually use it and have it active on their devices when federal officials post some of this data online in the spring. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
Chinese New Year is coming up on Friday, and for the first time in nearly half a century, there will not be in-person celebrations in Windsor.
It's not as happy as before, but most members, as far as I know, they understand the situation. Everybody still want to be safe, and they like to follow the safety guidelines provided by the government. And hopefully, in a few months, we can see each other and we can get together and chat and eat and enjoy life.
In past years, celebrations would be marked with things like live performances, like what you're seeing right now, but that won't be the case this year. Everything will be done virtually instead, within everyone's own bubbles. Members of the Essex County Chinese Canadian Association plan to celebrate the Year of the Ox online on Saturday. The president hopes that by the fall, the group can finally meet in person and celebrate its 45th anniversary. The OPP says it's busted an illegal bar in Leamington. Police say they responded to a complaint on Erie Street North on Saturday night. And when police got there, they say they saw a large number of people fleeing the location. Police say they did arrest one person at the scene, but that was on an unrelated matter. The investigation of the illegal bar is ongoing. An anti-racism group called Expose You Windsor says a person has been arrested for allegedly sending harassing online messages to Black students and professors. This comes months after the group exposed racist and hateful messages allegedly exchanged by members of the Delta Chi fraternity's Windsor chapter. A law student says many Black students spoke out about the incident, and he says that led to harassing emails from an anonymous person.
It scared the Black student community. Many of my friends were hesitant to continue posting and continue speaking out about anti-Black racism. Many of them actually left their homes and stayed with friends for a couple nights just because they were uncertain about who it was and what the person knew about them.
Windsor police would not confirm the arrest. They told CBC News that they do not confirm nor deny active investigations. However, CBC obtained an email from Expose You Windsor in which a police investigator states a person has been arrested for the offense of criminal harassment. An update now on the fatal Church Street fire. Officials say the fire marshal's investigation is now complete. They found that the fire started in the lower level apartment and resulted in $225,000 worth of damages. One person died from the fire and another is in hospital. The police investigation is still ongoing. And LaSalle police have made arrests after 4 daytime break-and-enters within the span of just a couple of hours. Police say 4 homes were broken into yesterday afternoon between 3 and 5, all on the west side of town. No one was home at the time of the break-ins. Not long after that, an investigation led police to a home in Windsor where suspects were arrested. Police say the investigation is active, but there's no ongoing risk to the community. And police say everyone should be thoughtful about their home security, adding that video surveillance could be extra helpful, both as protection for your home and could help police. With the fate of Windsor's air traffic control tower still in limbo, staff and students at the university are concerned. Through the school's aeronautics leadership program, students work to become licensed in communicating with air traffic control. But as the CBC's Sanjay Maru reports, some worry it could steepen the learning curve for flight students.
Air traffic controllers they're amazing. They tell you exactly where you need to go.
High in the sky, this is where the key learning happens for students at the University of Windsor's Aeronautics Leadership Program. In fact, it may only be a few months before first-year students are manning a plane with the help of air traffic control.
I'd be scared as a first-year student if it was a flight service station instead of a control tower.
The need for air traffic controllers at Windsor International Airport continues to be reviewed by NAV Canada as the company considers replacing them with flight service specialists as a cost-cutting measure. Flight service specialists are trained to interpret weather information and provide advisories to pilots, but they don't control air traffic.
That means it's up to the pilots to keep a safe distance from other planes.
Having this opportunity to train and be able to talk to air traffic control is a great thing for our students and something that would be missed.
The training portion of the university's aeronautics leadership program is run by Journey Air, a local flight school. Bacon says it's assured her that it will find alternative ways of teaching students how to communicate with air traffic control if the tower were to be shut down at YQG. But Bacon says the complexity of the city's airspace make the need for an air traffic control tower far greater here than in other cities.
With Detroit right across the river, as well as, we have the Flying Club and Journey Air training students right there at the airport. It's a busy environment.
Say if you're flying to New York, it's not going to go around Windsor. It actually goes through Windsor. If Windsor doesn't have ATC provided separation, it's a potential hazard that we're looking at.
Those with the program say they're aware other flight schools operate without an air traffic control tower, but that's part of what makes Windsor so special. Meanwhile, the city's mayor says he finally secured a meeting with NAV Canada, something he's been asking for since December 11th. Dilkins says he was able to air many of his grievances to the company and adds that a lot of goodwill between NAV Canada and YQG has been squandered, with NAV Canada telling Dilkins that a final decision on the tower has yet to be made. Sanjay Maru, CBC News, Windsor.
Ottawa has announced it's investing $15 billion into public transit over the next 8 years. The money will be used to support major projects like subway expansions and a shift to low-emission and electric vehicles.
Even for people working from home right now, I know the one thing you definitely don't miss is spending long hours commuting. We need efficient and modern public transit systems that make our communities more connected.
Starting in 2026, Ottawa will provide an additional $3 billion per year in permanent funding. Canada's big cities have been asking for the money for several years. The Prime Minister says the plan is as much about post-COVID economic stimulus as it is improving transit and fighting climate change. And the Ford government revealed today it has now spent or allocated all of its budgeted funds for COVID-19 relief.
So $13.3 billion has been allocated. But in addition to that, what we're saying is we're setting aside some more money. We're drawing down the reserve so that in the fourth quarter, and just to be clear, that's from January 1st to March 31st, so we're right in the middle of it, for the other expenses that are unforeseen.
The finance minister says the bulk of the funds is dedicated to COVID-related health programs, while $1.4 billion is to help small businesses. The province's independent financial accountability officer recently reported that as of September, some $12 billion were sitting in contingency funds not allocated to programs. The budget for the next fiscal year is to be tabled in March. A young Windsor boy is channeling his love of cooking into a love of learning and even some social media attention. His mom had been looking for ways to help him with his schooling. And when she realized he had a passion for the kitchen, together they created a Facebook page called Marshall's Creations. And it turned out Marshall's passion for cooking became a recipe for success in the classroom too.
Hi Marshall, what are we going to be making today?
We're making lemon meringue pie fudge.
Marshall does have ADHD, and he was given some special testing, and they suggested that we find something that he really loves and try to get him to encourage him to do things that way. So typically if Marshall was to read a book, he would give up after a few pages, but he peeked at the book fair and saw a Minecraft cookbook, and he seemed to be really interested with it. So I got that for him for Christmas, along with his little hat and his apron that we got personalized. So we thought if that's something he really likes to do, that we should make that be the thing that he's passionate about. And it really did help him start learning.
I'm gonna put a 9 because I am 9.
Well, it has been making me a better reader. I'm a very good math person.
We're gonna need 3 cups of chocolate chips.
So we're a large family of 8. So a lot of recipes we sometimes have to double, which is great for math. So we have to do K times 2 or this plus this. There's a lot of fractions, which is great. He's excited when he goes to school. He typically would shut down if there's something that he doesn't know how to do. But this year he has really kind of come out of his shell a bit more. And it really has just boosted his self-confidence, which was my major thing, because I have other children with ADHD, and once their confidence kind of starts going, then usually so does school.
Oh, here's the fun part.
All of the things that I get back from people are very inspiring for me. And it's pretty nice that people are saying stuff about my food. It makes me feel confident about my work. It kind of makes me feel like I'm actually a chef in a restaurant. It's pretty fun being Chef Marshall, because, well, it's not fully Chef Marshall, because me and my mom are like a group. We both work together.
Look into whatever it is that they are passionate about. Don't force something on them. My other kids who had ADHD, they were suggested to do sports. I put them in soccer, it didn't work, baseball, you name it. You have to find what's right for them. Once you see that spark, you really have to go for it. Don't let it die out, right? Too many people take things that their kids do and maybe they make a big mess, big deal. The mess can be cleaned up, right? But the encouragement and the self-esteem that he's gaining is well worth the extra 10, 15 minutes of cleanup.
Here's the actual finished part of our creation, our Marshall's Creations.
That fudge looks good. There's a live look at our city there. We do have some flurries in the forecast tonight, but we do have some sunshine to look forward to tomorrow, and then more snow on the way. Colette Kennedy will join us right after the break for your full weather forecast, and we'll also tell you about a Zoom court session gone wrong involving a lawyer and a cat filter. Stay with us. The pandemic has presented challenges for some people not accustomed to working from home, including a lawyer from Texas.
Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
So let the record show that is not a real cat, but attorney Rod Ponton. His assistant was eventually able to turn that feline filter off after a few minutes. The hearing was shared on the court's YouTube page, but it wasn't long before tens of thousands of people were sharing a laugh at the technical blunder online. Even the judge himself tweeted it out. So let's bring in Colette Kennedy now. I was saying to a producer earlier, I wish we had a filter right now that we could present to the public right now as two cats chatting.
Oh, I could watch that all day. It never fails to make me laugh my head off. And I have a family Zoom. My dad's from Windsor, but he lives in Kansas now.
Okay.
We do these family Zooms on Wednesday nights. So I so wanted to put that filter on and join the family Zoom. It's an old filter. Dell computers, like from 10 years ago. So you want that exact one.
This is the content we all need right now.
Yeah, it's hard to get. You can get other cat filters, though, so I'll probably just look for something else. All right, let's take a look at your weather. I mean, this morning starting off for -15, and then our high only around -8. So, yeah, some light snow out there kind of dusting through. And you'll enjoy Thursday. The sun will be back, at least for a good portion of the day. Into Saturday, a little light snow coming back, and a cool down. You're saying, what do you mean a cool down? It was cool today. Kind of like today as we go into the weekend with some temperatures running well below seasonal we'll be seeing. So your current temperature, yeah, -9 Leamington as well as Windsor and Chatham-Kent. There's your wind chill. It feels like -13. I mentioned the light snow, and you could be like, how come we kept getting hit and the rest of Ontario is not seeing as much other than some lake effect? Well, really, we can consider ourselves lucky in some sense because the very active weather is along what's happening with the jet stream and our storm track, and there's some serious ice going on here through Kentucky at the moment, but that's pushing towards the mid-Atlantic, so those are ice storm warnings you see there in purple. We are just getting dusted by this as it passes to the south. We'll clear out for Thursday, like I said, getting some sunshine. And then late Thursday could see a little bit of drizzle or freezing drizzle, but that mostly, again, stays to the south of us. And then it's not till Saturday. I mentioned a little bit of light snow dusting through. -13 tonight, slightly milder than it was this morning. And same thing with tomorrow afternoon at -4. But you see what I mean into the weekend. It's those daytime highs, Kat, that are so cool.
Appreciate you breaking that down. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Now, when we come back, it is day 2 of Donald Trump's impeachment hearing. Ellen Morrow will have the latest right after the break. On day 2 of Donald Trump's impeachment proceedings, Democrats showed previously unseen footage of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, trying to directly link the former president to the deadly riot. CBC's Ellen Morrow reports.
Chilling previously unseen security footage capturing the pro-Donald Trump mob breaking into the Capitol building, police struggling to respond.
We need some reinforcements up here now. They're starting to pull the gates down.
The footage shows how much worse the already deadly attack could have been. Here, police officer Eugene Goodman rushes toward Senator Mitt Romney, redirecting him away from the attackers. In this video, former Vice President Mike Pence and his family make a narrow escape as the mob tried to hunt him down. All this violence, the Democrats argue, fueled by Trump himself.
Donald Trump surrendered his role as commander-in-chief and became the inciter-in-chief.
Democrats staking their case on Trump's own words.
We're in a fight for the survival of our nation, and we are going to keep on fighting.
Showing clip after clip of Trump wrongly claiming the election was rigged.
Because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged.
After Trump lost, he refused to accept reality. Instead, as Democrats showed, repeatedly railing on Twitter. In one tweet, writing, "We have just begun to fight." In another, Trump urging his supporters to protest in Washington on January 6, writing, "Be there, we'll be wild."
Make no mistake, this election was stolen from you, from me.
On January 6 itself, Democrats reminded Trump directed the mob to the Capitol. And in the aftermath of the attack, refused to condemn his supporters, saying instead,
"We love you. You're very special."
President Trump had truly made them believe that their election had been stolen and that it was their patriotic duty to fight to steal it back.
Democrats have the floor today. Later, Trump's legal team will argue he isn't culpable, that the trial itself is unconstitutional with Trump out of office. Democrats need 17 Republican senators to get a conviction. Unlikely. Still, they argue the trial is crucial for holding Trump accountable, for making sure this never happens again. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Have a great night.